Hey everybody, this is Alex Merced from Alex Merced Coder. In the previous video, we did a quick little just like pull in the data from the backend pizza toppings API, and we just quickly pulled it into the front end using jQuery. In this video, I'm going to show you how to pull it into the front end using Vue. Okay, so I'm going to close all this. In the Vue folder, once again, I'm going to create two files: index.html. Set up my boilerplate. And then I'm also going to make an app.js. Okay, so we need to get the Vue CDN. So let's do here, Vue CDN link. Okay, let's get from the installation page. So that's right here. Get that. For Vue, you do not need to put a defer keyword on there. So script, and then Vue script source app.js. And then what you do is just put a single div for now with the ID of main. Actually, we'll do the ID of app. Cool. Okay, that's all we need for now. And we'll just do everything in that div. So the first thing you have to do in Vue is you have to create your Vue instance. So we just basically do const app equals new Vue, escape, and then we pass in an object, and literally everything in Vue will be in this object. So first thing I need to pass in is L, which is the element that we're connecting to, which is an element with the ID of app. So it just tells it that look for the thing with the ID of app. That's where all the Vue stuff is going on. Cool. That's it right now. Okay, let's just always like to create just a test data. So you're going to create another field in the object called data, and there should be another object in there. And then we'll just create a quick test piece of data, hello world, just to make sure that our Vue is working. Test hello world. And just to test that, we're going to go to index.html in the div, because again, right now Vue is looking at this div, and anything that we're going to do Vue command-wise has to happen in this div, because that's the Vue instance we created. So I'm going to go here and just do this, div h1. Okay, and then in h1 we're going to do two curly brackets, and in the middle put test, because that's the name of the variable. It's whatever the name of the variable is in data, just test. And then let's open that up in live server and just make sure it says hello world. Nope, so something did not happen right. So let's go here, let's take a look. Maybe I do need the defer keyword. Let me try this. Defer here, just on the app.js. And now that works. Good. Okay. Good. So Vue is all set up. Once we've confirmed that, we can now move on. So what we're going to do is in our data, we're going to create a variable for all our pizzas when we get it. So pizzas. So we'll start out as an empty array because we don't have our pizzas yet. Now we need a function that's going to go get our pizzas. Okay. So we have to create another object called methods. And that's going to have another object. And here's where you can pass in functions that your Vue instance can use. So we're going to use get pizzas, which will equal an async function. Okay. You always want to use this function syntax with a function keyword because you need to use the word this. And if you don't pass that in, then you don't get the word this. Async function. Okay, so what we need to do here is const response equals fetch. That's going to be a wait fetch. Fetch http / localhost 3002 / pizza. Okay, and my advice would be to create a variable for the URL to make life easier. So const URL equals http / localhost 3002. So that way, when you do deploy, you don't have to change this whole thing quite a bit. You can do something like this. You could just be backticks URL / pizza. And that makes it where when you deploy it, you can just switch that out and life's easy. Okay. Cool. And to make it even easier, you can make another one called final URL. And basically what we do here is we'll use a ternary, final URL. Okay, and we'll actually make this a let. So that way it can just be undefined for now. Final URL. So if final URL exists, like if there's actually data there, it'll assign the final URL. So when you deployed it, you can just assign the final URL. But if final URL does not have a value, it'll just use your local host. Okay, so that way you can define it as needed. Okay, and you can do this whether it's jQuery, React, Vue in this case. It's just always nice to have this 2 lines of code, so that way it's you're not having to rewrite that URL like 6 or 7 times when you deploy. Okay, so const response equals fetch. So again, this is gonna be the same thing no matter what framework we're using. Const pizzas equals, and actually we want pizzas equals await response.json. Okay. And then what we want is this dot pizzas, because again, anything that's inside this data object, we have to use the this keyword to refer to. So this dot pizzas equals pizzas. Ooh. And now the pizzas become available when that function runs. Okay, but we want that function to happen when this page loads up. So we have to put in another thing, and I think it's let's take a look here. Lifecycle in Vue. Lifecycle is something in frameworks that means like when it happens. There, lifecycle in Vue. Vue, understanding Vue lifecycle hooks. That's what I want. I just want to know what the different ones are. Before create, no, not before create. For your component, if I use created. Okay, so created works for me. Okay, because basically the way it works is you have to create a function called created. Okay, and that's going to be its own standalone property. Okay, so I'm going to go here, outside of methods, and pass in another function called created as its own function here. And all this, what we're going to do is we're just going to run get pizzas once this thing is created. And it should be this dot get pizzas. Again, everything here is part of the Vue object, so it gets a this dot get pizzas. That should work. Now just to double check, I'm going to console.log pizzas here, just to make sure that the data is gone and it shows up in the console. So now let's open this up. Well, we already have it opened up in the browser, so let's go over here. Open up the DevTools and see here, failed to load resource, localhost 3000 name, error name not resolved. Oh, I forgot an L. That's why. Localhost. There we go. Let's go back here, okay. And look, see, we got all our pizzas. Name, toppings, pepperoni. That's spelled wrong, whatever. Pepperoni. So let's see here. So we got the data. So now that means we can then refer to it over here, because it does eventually hit there. So we're going to create a UL, just like last time. Inside that UL, we're going to have LIs. So we want to have a lot of LIs, one for each pizza. So we're going to do LI v4, because that means it's going to loop for a thing. So v4 pizza in pizzas. And it's going to look inside the data object for an array called pizzas. Okay, good. There's our li, and it's going to repeat this li. And we just do what we did last time. So h1 for, and then we have to use 2 curly brackets for interpolation in view. So pizza in pizzas. So we're gonna have 2i for pizza.name. And then I'm gonna just use the same logic as I did before, h2. And I'm gonna do the pizza.toppings.map topping. And I want to get the topping.name. Is what I want returned. And then I want to join this as one big string with a comma between each one. There we go. And let's see here. Pizza.toppings. Then I need just to close the 2 curly brackets. There we go. And that should work. And it did. So once again, we created the same thing again. Because again, this is just going to return a string of all the toppings. This is the pizza's name. And again, this is looping because we're using this v4 thing, which means it loops over the pizza. So it's creating, this is repeating this li tag over and over again, and the contents inside of it. So that was it. Okay, that's it. That's all you have to do with view. And if we go back here again, this is the function that just says, you know, go get the pizzas, which updates this pizzas array. And then basically I'm just saying, hey, when this view instance gets created, run that function. And once the data is updated, I can then use it over there in the front end over here using this kind of syntax, which makes life easy because as the data gets updated, all this automatically updates. And yeah, that's how you do a quick front end pull with Vue. So I'll see you guys in the next one where we'll do React.